Have you ever felt like, despite your best efforts to be kind and accommodating, people don't seem to respect you? You go out of your way to help others, always say yes, and avoid conflict at all costs. Yet, instead of appreciation, you often feel overlooked, undervalued, and even taken advantage of. It's frustrating, isn't it? The truth is, being a nice guy doesn't always lead to the respect and recognition you deserve. In fact, it can have the opposite effect. But don't worry, there's a way to change this dynamic without sacrificing your kindness or integrity. In today's video, I will show you 6 powerful strategies to stop being a nice guy and start earning the respect you deserve. These steps build on each other, starting from the inside out, so stick with me until the end to fully transform your mindset and actions. We will dive into each step and explore how they can help you build greater confidence, assertiveness, and more authentic relationships. First, let's clarify what we mean by nice guy. It's not about being genuinely kind or considerate, that's commendable. The nice guy syndrome refers to a pattern of behavior where a man seeks approval and validation from others by being overly accommodating, avoiding conflict, and suppressing his own needs and desires. This behavior often stems from a fear of rejection or a belief that being agreeable will earn love and respect. However, this approach can backfire, leading to feelings of resentment and a lack of genuine connections. You might think that always being agreeable and putting others first would make you more likable and respected. However, the opposite is often true. When you consistently prioritize others' needs over your own, it can signal a lack of self-respect and confidence. People may perceive you as a pushover, someone whose opinions and boundaries can be disregarded. Respect is earned when you demonstrate self-assurance and stand firm in your values and decisions. Alright, so now that we've clarified what the nice guy syndrome is all about, let's dive straight into the 6 strategies that will help you break free from this pattern and start earning the respect you truly deserve. 1. Building self-confidence, the foundation of respect. Before you can expect others to respect you, you have to respect yourself. That might sound obvious, but it's one of the most overlooked truths in personal development. If you're constantly second-guessing yourself, apologizing for your behavior, or downplaying your strengths, people will sense it, and often they'll treat you accordingly. The way you see yourself sets the tone for how others see you. Confidence doesn't mean being the loudest in the room, dominating every conversation, or pretending you've got it all figured out. Real confidence is quieter, but deeper. It's about being grounded in who you are, knowing your value even when no one else is clapping, being okay with not having all the answers, but trusting yourself to figure it out anyway. One of the most powerful ways to start building this kind of self-confidence is to keep small promises to yourself. Not huge, dramatic changes, just small, consistent actions. If you tell yourself you're going to wake up at 7 a.m. and you do it, you win. If you say you're going to hit the gym and follow through, that's another win. These small wins stack up. Over time, they create a deep sense of inner trust. You stop relying on motivation or external validation and start building something much stronger: self-integrity. Think of it this way: if you had a friend who constantly broke their promises to you, would you trust them? Of course not. So if you keep breaking promises to yourself, why would your brain trust you to handle pressure, take risks, or lead others? Rebuilding that trust starts with small daily actions. Confidence also grows through competence. If there's something you've always wanted to learn, whether it's public speaking, managing money, or social skills, start now. Don't wait until you feel ready. You become ready through the doing. Every time you practice, improve, and gain clarity, you become more capable. That capability shows. It reflects in your posture, your tone, your decisions. People feel it. You don't even need to say anything. Confidence radiates. And here's the real secret. When you begin to operate from a place of quiet confidence, people start reacting to you differently. They listen more closely. They give your words more weight. They mirror the respect you show yourself. Not because you demand it, but because you embody it. 2. Embracing authenticity. Stop performing, start leading. Many nice guys fall into the trap of playing a role. You act how you think others want you to act. Harmless, agreeable, always pleasant, hoping they'll accept or approve of you. Maybe you laugh at jokes you don't find funny, stay silent when something bothers you, or agree with opinions you don't actually believe in. On the surface, it feels like you're being polite or likable, but underneath, something doesn't feel right. That's because it isn't right. It's not you. People can sense when you're not being real. Even if they can't put it into words, they feel it. There's a slight tension in your presence, a kind of filtered, edited version of yourself that keeps others at a distance. And ironically, in trying to be accepted by everyone, you end up truly connecting with no one. Authenticity is the antidote to that. But let's be clear, being authentic doesn't mean you say whatever comes to mind or stop caring about others altogether. It means you stop filtering your personality just to gain approval. It means you give yourself permission to be seen fully, your quirks, your humor, your values, your honest opinions, even if they're unpopular, your mistakes and your wins. The people who matter will resonate with that. They'll see you, and more importantly, they'll respect you for having the courage to show up as yourself in a world that constantly tells you to be someone else. When you start embracing authenticity, something powerful happens. Your relationships become more real. You stop attracting people who only like the nice version of you, the one who never causes trouble, never pushes back, never says no. Instead, you start attracting people who appreciate your honesty, who respect your boundaries, and who feel safe enough to be themselves around you too. And it's not just in relationships. Authenticity also changes how people see you in leadership and social dynamics. When you stop performing and start owning who you are, people take notice. They see you as someone who's grounded, someone who doesn't shift with every opinion in the room. That kind of presence commands respect without needing to ask for it. You might worry that showing your real self will push people away, and in some cases, it might. But let those people walk away. If you're constantly playing a part to keep someone close, you're not in a real connection anyway. You're in a transaction, and eventually that cracks. The cost of being inauthentic is that you're never truly seen, even by the people closest to you. Remember this, being liked is easy. You just say yes, smile, and stay quiet. But being respected, that takes guts. It takes honesty. It takes the willingness to be misunderstood. But the payoff is real confidence, real connection, and real self-respect. So stop filtering yourself to fit in. Stop playing the role. Your power isn't in being the nicest guy in the room. It's in being the realest one. 3. The importance of setting boundaries. Teach people how to treat you. Once you start showing up as your true self, the next step is protecting that self. And that's where boundaries come in. Think of boundaries as your personal rules of engagement. They're the invisible lines that define how others are allowed to treat you. They help you protect your time, your energy, your values, and your emotional well-being. Without clear boundaries, you risk becoming a doormat, someone who's constantly taken advantage of, overlooked, or emotionally drained by the people around them. People will treat you the way you teach them to. If you tolerate disrespect, overstepping, or being guilt-tripped into things, that becomes your standard. For many nice guys, setting boundaries can feel almost wrong. You might feel guilty for saying no, or worry that you'll seem selfish or rude. That's because you've likely spent most of your life believing that being agreeable is the key to being liked. But being liked and being respected are two very different things. One requires you to shrink yourself, the other requires you to stand your ground. Let's be clear, boundaries are not about being cold, mean, or distant. They're not walls, they're filters. They let the right people in while keeping the wrong behavior out. And ironically, setting boundaries often deepens relationships rather than damaging them. When you're honest about what you're okay with and what you're not, you give others the chance to connect with the real you, not just the version of you that always says yes. A strong boundary might sound like, I can't help you with that right now, I have too much on my plate. I need some time to think about it before giving you an answer. I don't feel comfortable being spoken to like that. If we're going to keep talking, it needs to be respectful. Notice how these statements are clear but not confrontational. You're not attacking anyone, you're just calmly asserting your limits. And the truth is, how you set boundaries often matters less than the fact that you do it consistently. When people see that you respect yourself enough to say no, they begin to respect you more as well. Yes, there will be people who resist your boundaries, especially those who benefited from your lack of them. You might get pushback, you might be called selfish or difficult. That's normal, but don't let that scare you. The discomfort of disappointing others is temporary. The freedom and self-respect you gain from honoring your own limits is what lasts. And here's something else to keep in mind. Setting boundaries also models healthy behavior. When you enforce your limits with confidence and kindness, you give others permission to do the same in their own lives. You start creating a space where mutual respect becomes the norm. And that's a powerful thing, not just for your relationships, but for your overall quality of life. Boundaries also help you see who really belongs in your life. Some people will adapt and respect your space, others won't. And that's information. The people who truly value you won't vanish when you stop bending over backward for them. They'll step up and meet you with the same respect you show yourself. So if you're tired of being stretched too thin, walked on, or taken for granted, ask yourself, where am I saying yes when I really mean no? Where am I allowing things that don't feel okay, just to avoid conflict? Those answers are where your new boundaries need to begin. Every time you assert one, you reinforce a new belief. I matter too. And the more you live by that, the more others will recognize it, feel it, and most importantly, honor it. 4. Developing assertiveness. Speak up without apologizing. Setting boundaries is essential, but they only work if you have the courage to communicate them, and that's where assertiveness comes in. Assertiveness is the ability to express your thoughts, needs, and feelings openly and honestly, without guilt and without stepping on anyone else in the process. It's not about being aggressive or pushy. It's not about raising your voice or dominating a conversation. True assertiveness lies in the balance, the sweet spot between being passive and being aggressive. Most nice guys have been conditioned to lean toward passivity. Maybe you were taught that being easygoing and agreeable makes you a good person. Maybe you were praised for being well-behaved or polite growing up, and over time you internalize the idea that speaking up is selfish, rude, or even dangerous. But here's the truth. Silencing yourself doesn't make you kind. It just makes you invisible. Assertiveness starts with giving yourself permission to take up space, to have an opinion, to say no without needing to explain your entire life story, to say yes only when you actually mean it, and most importantly, to do all of this without apologizing for it. Here's the thing, people can't read your mind. If you don't speak up, they'll assume everything's fine. If you keep saying it's okay when it's not okay, they'll keep doing what they're doing, and eventually that leads to resentment, frustration, and a feeling of being powerless. Assertiveness breaks that cycle. So how do you start building this skill? Start small. Practice speaking up in everyday, low-pressure situations. If your friend asks where you want to eat, don't just say, "I don't care." Say what you actually feel like eating. If your coworker hands you a task you don't have time for, instead of quietly taking it on, say, "I'd love to help, but I'm already at capacity." These may seem like small moments, but they're where the muscle of assertiveness gets trained. Body language also matters. Assertiveness isn't just what you say, it's how you say it. Stand tall. Make eye contact. Keep your tone calm and steady. Avoid over-explaining or nervously laughing. You don't need to defend your right to feel what you feel. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is removing the unnecessary sorries from your vocabulary. Instead of saying sorry for bothering you, try "do you have a moment?" Instead of "sorry, I just think," try "I believe." You're not doing anything wrong by having a voice. Own it. Assertive people aren't just respected, they're trusted. Why? Because people know where they stand with you. There's no guessing, no walking on eggshells, no wondering what you really think. You're clear, you're honest, you're real, and people are drawn to that. This doesn't mean everyone will always like what you say. Assertiveness isn't about being liked, it's about being clear and grounded. Some people might push back. Some might be surprised when you start standing up for yourself if they're used to you staying quiet. That's normal, but over time you'll notice a shift. People start listening more, they start taking your words seriously, and more importantly, you start feeling more powerful in your own skin. Assertiveness is a muscle, and like any muscle, it gets stronger with repetition. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. And as your confidence grows, so does your ability to stay grounded in high-stakes situations. Whether it's a tough conversation with a friend, a boundary at work, or standing firm in a relationship. 5. Practicing self-care. Respect yourself first. If you constantly give and never recharge, you'll burn out, and people will start seeing you as someone who's available, but not someone who's valuable. That's a hard truth to face, especially for those who pride themselves on being dependable and selfless. But here's the reality, if you treat yourself like an afterthought, others will too. Self-care isn't a luxury, it's not something you earn after everyone else's needs are met. It's the foundation for everything else. Your confidence, your clarity, your energy, and ultimately your self-respect. And no, self-care isn't just about spa days and scented candles. It's about the small daily choices that reinforce one powerful message: I matter. That message becomes the baseline for how you show up in the world and how others respond to you. It starts with the basics. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you moving your body in ways that feel good and energizing? Are you feeding yourself meals that nourish instead of deplete you? Are you making time to breathe, to reflect, to be still? These things seem simple, almost too obvious. But when life gets hectic, or when your self-worth is low, they're often the first to go. You convince yourself you don't have time, or that other people's needs come first. But when you skip your own care, you're sending a message to yourself and to others that you don't matter as much. Now, let's go deeper. True self-care also means setting emotional boundaries. That includes stepping away from relationships that drain you, limiting your time around negativity, and being honest about your feelings instead of burying them to keep the peace. It means learning how to soothe yourself when things get tough, rather than spiraling into guilt, shame, or distraction. It's recognizing when you're running on empty and giving yourself permission to pause. And then there's mental self-care. Are you challenging your inner critic? Are you feeding your mind with things that inspire and grow you? Or are you constantly scrolling, comparing, or numbing out? One of the most powerful forms of self-care is protecting your focus. That might mean limiting how much you give to people who don't reciprocate. It might mean saying no to that one thing you could do, but really shouldn't. It might even mean pulling away from someone who expects too much and gives too little. When you take care of yourself, you're not being selfish, you're being strategic, because the more grounded and fulfilled you are, the more you're able to show up with strength for yourself and for the people who actually matter. And here's the beautiful twist. When people see you treating yourself with respect, they take their cues from that. They begin to see you not as someone who's just nice or helpful, but as someone who knows their worth. You're not out here begging for approval or chasing validation. You're whole, you're steady, you're clear on your value. Ironically, it's that self-sufficiency that makes people gravitate toward you, because people are drawn to energy that doesn't need them to feel complete. They admire it, they want to be around it, and most of all, they respect it. So if you're serious about breaking free from the nice guy trap and becoming someone others respect, start by respecting yourself first. Take care of your body, protect your peace, honor your emotions, prioritize your growth. Do the things that fill you up instead of draining you dry. You're not just the sum of what you give to others. You are someone who deserves to be cared for. By others, yes, but most importantly, by yourself. 6. Learning to handle criticism. Stand your ground with grace. When you start stepping out of the nice guy identity, criticism becomes inevitable. You'll soon realize that not everyone will agree with your new, confident approach. For someone used to avoiding conflict and always pleasing others, criticism can feel especially harsh. But criticism is a part of growth. How you respond to it is what matters. First, you need to understand where the criticism is coming from. Is it from someone who wants to help you, or is the person projecting their own insecurities onto you? If the criticism is constructive, take it on board. If not, let it go. Not every piece of feedback deserves your energy. It's also crucial not to confuse criticism with your identity. Criticism doesn't make you a bad person. You can make mistakes without being a mistake. Stay grounded in your values and don't let it shake your sense of self. Criticism shouldn't dictate your self-worth. When criticized, remain calm and assertive. Don't react impulsively. Take a moment to breathe and reflect. By standing your ground with calm confidence, you show that you're not easily rattled, and that's what earns you respect. You don't need to justify yourself or apologize unnecessarily. It's also important to accept that not everyone will like you. You won't please everyone, and that's okay. When you stand by your boundaries and values, some people might get upset, but that's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. You don't need everyone's approval to deserve respect. You just need to be authentic and true to yourself. Handling criticism with grace demonstrates inner strength. It shows that you remain grounded even when others try to knock you off course. And that's exactly what earns you long-term respect. Transitioning from being a nice guy to being a respected individual doesn't mean you have to become unkind or selfish. It's about finding a balance between being considerate and standing up for yourself. By setting boundaries, developing assertiveness, building self-confidence, and embracing authenticity, you can cultivate genuine respect from others. Remember, respect starts with self-respect. When you value yourself, others are more likely to value you too. If you found this video helpful, feel free to like and subscribe for more content on personal development and building self-respect. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And remember, being true to yourself is the first step toward earning the respect you deserve.